Her heart hammered so violently she was certain everyone in the cafe could hear it. 5 years? 5 years of rebuilding herself from nothing, of working double shifts while pregnant, of crying herself to sleep wondering if she'd made the right choice. 5 years of looking into her children's faces and seeing his eyes staring back at her. And now he was here. Elena had been 23 when she met Marcus at a charity gala where she was working as a server. She'd been putting herself through culinary school, dreaming of owning her own cafe someday. He'd been the youngest tech billionaire in New York, brilliant and kind in a way that made her forget they came from completely different worlds. Their connection had been instant, electric, impossible to ignore. For 8 months, they'd existed in a beautiful bubble. He'd shown her a world of possibility she'd never imagined. And she'd given him something he'd never had despite all his wealth. Someone who saw him, not his bank account. But when she'd discovered she was pregnant, everything changed. She'd seen the fear flash across his face when she told him. Not anger, not rejection, fear. He'd been in the middle of a crucial business expansion, working 100-hour weeks under immense pressure from his board. And Elena had realized something that broke her heart. She couldn't ask him to choose. She couldn't be the person who derailed his dreams, who trapped him with an obligation he wasn't ready for. So she'd made the hardest decision of her life. She'd left while he was on a business trip to Singapore, leaving only a note that said she needed to figure out her own path. She'd blocked his number, moved to a different neighborhood, and disappeared into the vast anonymity of New York City. She'd told herself it was selfless, that she was setting him free. But late at night, she wondered if she was just a coward. Now Marcus stood frozen in her cafe doorway, his eyes locked on something behind the counter. Elena followed his gaze and felt her blood turn to ice. Her twins, Lily and James, had emerged from the kitchen where they'd been doing homework, curious about the sound of breaking glass. They were unmistakably his children. James had inherited Marcus's exact shade of dark eyes and that distinctive widow's peak. Lily had his smile, the one that started slow and lit up a room. They were both looking at the stranger in the doorway with innocent curiosity, completely unaware that they were staring at their father. Elena? Marcus's voice cracked on her name, and she saw 5 years of questions in that single word. His eyes moved from the children to her face, and she watched him do the math, watched the realization dawn, then the shock, then something that looked like devastation. "Kids, go finish your homework in the back," Elena managed, her voice surprisingly steady. Lily opened her mouth to protest, but something in her mother's tone made both children retreat without argument. For a long moment, neither adult spoke. The cafe continued its late afternoon. Rhythm around them, the hiss of the espresso machine, the murmur of customers, the clink of spoons against cups. But Elena felt like she was underwater, everything muffled and distant. "Are they?" Marcus started, then stopped. Tried again. "Elena, are they mine?" The question hung between them like a physical thing. Elena wanted to lie. God, she wanted to protect the life she'd built, to avoid the complications and questions and probable legal battles. But she'd learned something in 5 years of single motherhood. Her children deserved better than lies. "Yes," she whispered. Marcus staggered backward, catching himself on a nearby table. An elderly couple looked up in alarm. But Elena couldn't tear her eyes away from his face. He looked like she'd punched him. 5 years, he said, and his voice was rough with emotion. 5 years, Elena. I have 5-year-old children I never knew about. How? Why? He pressed his palms against his eyes, breathing hard. I looked for you. For months I looked everywhere. I thought something terrible had happened to you. I thought you were dead. The pain in those last words lanced through Elena's chest. Marcus, you let me believe you were gone. He dropped his hands, and the anguish in his eyes nearly brought her to her knees. Do you have any idea what that did to me? And all this time you were here, with my children, our children. I made a choice, Elena said, fighting to keep her voice from shaking. You were building your empire. You were under so much pressure. I saw your face when I told you I was pregnant, Marcus. You were terrified. Of course I was terrified. He took a step toward her, and several customers turned to stare. He lowered his voice, but the intensity remained. I was 28 years old, and the woman I loved was pregnant. Terror is a normal human reaction. But you know what else I was? I was ready to figure it out. Together. You don't understand. No, you.